Greetings and welcome to Lez Talk About Books, baby, where we talk with your favorite LGBTQ plus authors. I'm Anita Kelly, and we have some special guests today, and we're kind of veering off from our normal guest list. With us today is Mak Shealy and Alexandra Swarens. And Mak is an actor, and Alexandra is a playwright, a director, and an actor as well. So they're here today to talk with us about their new movie that just came out called Holiday Club. So, folks, tell us all about Holiday Club. What's the storyline about? How did you get into this? We want to hear it.
The storyline that I like to give is not the same one that gets out and around, but it is about two friends who meet by chance and form and grow their friendship over the course of a year in holidays. And yeah, they just keep getting closer and closer.
So is it...
And then they fall in love.
It's like a friends to lovers kind of
tell them that
thing?
I think it's clear.
Yeah, we can surmise that. So
it is a friends to lovers. Yes.
When you say the Holiday Club, is it so and that they meet on holidays, is it like various holidays throughout the year they just keep meeting up with?
Yeah, so it's kind of, they just happen to see each other on holidays, or they make it a point to see each other. It kind of just happens that way. And it was mostly just like a passage of time that you see with these two people. It's not directly on every holiday because we have like summer and things like that, but it just kind of around using the holidays as passage of time.
Okay. That's wild.
They're good like anchor points throughout the year that they inevitably either run into each other or find time to see each other. And birthdays count too, which I love.
Yeah.
Birthdays count? Birthdays are holidays.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
So that's why like it couple things are going through my mind right now. One is that I was writing a book, a lesbian novel. It was a similar theme, but it's also kind of sounds like, do you guys remember that old movie called Holiday Inn with Bing Crosby?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah, that's what it kind of reminds me of. Everyone kind of meeting up on the various holidays throughout the year. And their connectedness really just growing through those meetups. And
yeah, it's pretty much that. And I think holidays force you. I love holidays personally because people are off usually from work. And I always feel like there's less pressure for people to feel like they have to be somewhere. So it's a good feeling to have, I think. But I just noticed that around me, I feel like everyone's a little lighter, and I love that because they're not feeling like they have a deadline to meet, or they have people they have to see that they don't want to see, and things like that. So
yeah, people are pretty chill and just kind of enjoying, being in the moment.
Yeah, so you could be more vulnerable, I feel, because you're not tied down from like doing your everyday things that you're like, I have to go here. Sometimes you can't get the best of someone's personality when it's filtered through like pressure, having to be somewhere. Oh my God, I've got so much stress in their life. And the holidays kind of like, just for a second, lower that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they like focus us in on whatever the relationships that we care about, I think.
Yeah.
Or the people. It's like a very community thing.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's true. And it's people have a very different professional persona than a personal persona, right? And
Exactly. And I wish it wasn't that way. I wish there wasn't so much, but you do sometimes have to protect yourself at work, sadly. And you're not always working for the best people. Most of us have felt that, So choosing the people you're around on these days off, that says something, It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
it's very vulnerable.
yeah, it's like you choose to be with these people. This is your family of choice,
Yeah.
versus people that you kind of have to spend your time with during the
Yeah.
work week. Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
like chosen family for the queer community. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. So, is this holiday club? Is it based on an original screenplay, or did you?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
And Alexandra, did you write it?
I did. Yes.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. When did you write this?
Last February.
Okay.
January, February.
So that's a quick turnaround.
Yes. It was quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very quick.
Yeah, to have it written and then, produced and the movie's out and yeah.
Yeah, it was super quick. I already had we had it lined up, the producers and I, to do something together that was holiday related and queer. Excuse me. So that kind of it was expedited, though, I will say. But it was already kind of lined up that we were going to do something.
Oh, fun.
And then I found out we were going to shoot in April. So I was like, okay, let's do it.
That is a short turnaround. And I understand, I just learned that you shot the film in Ashland, Ohio.
Yes.
That's so cool. That's great.
Yeah.
How was that place chosen? Out of all the places?
Yeah, the producers are there. They
okay.
have their business there. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
If you do a Google search of Ashland, Ohio, the first building you see is Good Deed Entertainment.
Really?
Uh-huh.
And those are the producers of the movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And so what were each of your roles? Like, I know that you had different roles in making of this film. So, Mak, let's start with you. What was your role in all of this?
I played Sam, who is the other half of the duo in the film.
Okay. All right. So, you're an actor by trade?
I'm an actor, I'm a writer, and just an artist, a person.
Okay. Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
All right. And Alexandra, what was your role?
I directed it and I acted as Bailey, who is the other half of Sam.
Okay.
But of the duo.
Okay.
They're whole people, but they're also a cute little pod.
So you guys were actually like in a relationship in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is that now? Did that make you closer as friends?
Yeah. I don't feel like we were ever not close, Mak and I, but we know each other.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't know each other at all.
That was why we weren't close, but I feel like once we met, it was kind of just close. And filming, of course, makes you closer, but I will throw Sid under here again and say the DP, when we were kissing, was just like, can you act like you guys have not kissed before? When we were doing our first kiss, and we were like, we haven't kissed. What do you mean? So yeah, it was
it was so easy. It was so easy to work with you, and I felt like we all stayed together throughout filming too, with the DP Sid Lawson, who's my favorite DP I've ever worked with in my life, and I think she's so talented. But more than that, I mean, we went out dancing every night off, and I'll do my thing, which I love to mention, is that we all got matching tattoos during filming.
Awesome.
And it's like, I don't know, I just met two of my favorite people in my life working on this. And I got hired 4 days before shooting.
Wow.
So I was not expecting to meet two of my like great friends in April. And I had the best time. I mean, I showed up on set and I was like, oh, thank God it's these folks. Like, oh, yay. I get to just hang out with cool people for 21 days or whatever the like total amount of time spent in
Yeah.
Ohio was. We only shot for 13 days, but it was so easy. And Allie is an incredible actor, director, writer. I was shocked at how many hats she could wear successfully and with such a cool head throughout the whole process. Because I think I would have, like, my brain would have exploded on day one. But it was so easy to work with everybody, and the entire crew was amazing and so queer. It was the best. It was the best.
So is Good Deeds Entertainment, is that a queer production agency?
They're not queer. They have queer people working there.
Okay.
But Violet Wave, which is my company, is. So I was a part of the production as well.
Okay.
But no, I wouldn't say that. I don't know how they would define themselves, so I'm not going to try.
Okay.
But they did have a lot of queer people working for them, and they were all very visibly so excited to work on this film. The crew worked so hard on this movie because they loved the story and because Allie led such an amazing room, and that doesn't happen all the time, even when everybody believes in the project. But it really takes a special director to kind of, shepherd a team through a process that's really truncated, because 13 days is basically, it's a very quick shoot to shoot an entire movie.
Heck
and it was done so effortlessly.
That's wonderful. Yeah. It's like, I imagine directing is like herding cats, as they say, because you have all these people doing their own thing and trying to get them to, do their things together. Almost like an orchestra conductor, right?
I feel that so much. I feel like I trust people so much, and when I hire them, I know that they want the same thing. And I think that's all it really takes. And of course, to treat them well the whole time. Like, sometimes you get on a set and it's hard and rough, and then you get to the wrap party and everyone's like, oh, that was a great time, right? And you're like, well, wasn't really. So I want to have a good time, and I want everyone on set. I don't think, maybe in the 60s, 70s, and it was a harder process to make films, and women in film were treated very differently, but it doesn't need to stay that way. We can have a good time, even if we're doing sad scenes. There's nothing like getting your emotions out when you're feeling safe, So why wouldn't you want to provide a very safe set? And you don't want to feel tortured the whole time. It just doesn't.
No.
Emotions will not be there. They'll be kind of like heightened and stressed, but if you're feeling very open, you can let go. And I think
that makes sense, because it's like you're doing art. So when you're making any kind of artwork, right, you need to be relaxed and open, and
exactly, you channel something. You don't always know what it is, but it feels good at the time, and it feels very sacred. And then you try to talk about it after, but you're kind of like, I don't really know. It was
like a little magic time.
It was just little magic that stayed in those rooms, and now it's captured somewhere, luckily. But it's not something to ourselves. But
that's so cool.
Amazing how we're doing it.
It's like college. Like your college time is magical, right? But everyone leaves and goes their separate ways, but you still hold on to a piece of that magic in your memories.
That's so true. That's the feeling of holidays that we were describing too. It's just like these moments where, and you're not trying to hold on to them. You're kind of just like letting them go through you.
Yeah.
And, the next day you may be like, oh, I wish it was yesterday again, or I wish it was, and you're not channeling it at that moment, but in that moment, you're kind of just at your most creative,
Yeah. Yeah. So
Lucky us,
Alexandra,
we have the movie to watch whenever we want.
Yes.
There you go.
So where would our listeners go to watch the movie?
It's for rent and buy on Tello, Apple, Google, Amazon. Is that the same stuff? I don't know who owns
No, I
what.
think it's
Though they're
I
all
think
different.
it's on like everywhere you can rent or buy. It's not streaming yet, but it's on everywhere you can rent or buy.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So they can go to Apple TV, rent it or buy it, and
Yes.
or Amazon Prime, any of those. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I hope that when did it when was it released?
On a Wednesday or a Tuesday.
The 26th of November, I believe.
There
Okay.
you go.
I think.
All right. So it's been out for a little over a week then. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Have you heard any reviews? Have you heard any feedback on it?
No, I haven't heard anything. The DP said she was like, "Oh, I was on Letterboxd and people are saying some kind things," and that's all I've heard. But
Oh, that's wonderful.
I've seen a few things just from like I've gotten some calls from like friends and family that have been pretty lovely. And we just had a screening in LA on December 4th. And that was really fun. It was nice to
Cool.
see people come out for that. But yeah, I've gotten some like lovely DMs and nice messages from strangers about how much they love the film and they love Sam and Bailey. Yeah, it's so nice, and I've said this a lot, but I really do mean it. It's really nice to work on a happy movie, a movie where the characters get a happy ending and where queer people are happy. It's really nice to get to work on that. And I write a lot of like dark and twisty things, so it's really cool to get to work on something where there's like a definitively happy ending.
Yes.
And
who doesn't like a happy ending, right?
Joyful. It's joyful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like a little bit of hope.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I reality can sometimes be like dystopia. So it's nice to have the arts to take you away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
For
So for both of you, what attracted you to this project? Like Alexandra, you wrote it, but what made you decide, hey, we're going to go through with this at this time? And Mak, what attracted you to it?
Mac, do you want to go?
Yeah, well, I got a call from my agent when I was just in my hometown, driving up from Florida to my hometown to continue this tour of a solo show that I'd been performing that I wrote across the East Coast. And I got a call from my agent that there was a rush avail for a part I had auditioned for a few months before, or maybe like a month and a half before. And I loved the sides. It was one of the first times that I had actually felt like, oh yeah, this is a project that I would be very excited to book or to be part of. And I don't often feel that way these days because it's been a really weird year or two in the industry since the strike. Not everything, of quality is getting made right now. And there's a lot of stuff that I don't want to be, auditioning for, that doesn't really feel authentic for who I am or my identity. And I loved the script I loved the sides that I read initially when I auditioned for it. And then when I got this call from my agent, when I was on the road, I was like, yes, whatever. I pulled over to the side of the road. I had a call with Allie. I met her on FaceTime and I was like, I automatically like you. You're so nice. I think Hattie, your dog, was like in the background of the FaceTime. And I was like, this is a cute dog. You seem really chill. I hope this works out. And then I continued my drive up the East Coast, made it to South Carolina, and then got the go ahead that I was going to go to Ohio the next day to be on set. And I did my show that night, and then in the morning drove to the airport, and then the next day was in Ohio, and then we shot the film for the next 13 or so days. So what attracted me to it was I loved the initial the initial sides from the audition. So that little piece of the script that I got. And then once I got to read the full script in the avail check, I was like, yeah, this is like a dream for me. So yes, I hope it works out. And then it did, and it was great. And now I have friends.
That's so nice.
That I love.
That's so nice. I can feel your like exuberance, like really, like it's
so
wonderful.
Like, painfully earnest as a person, and so I think like Sam is so painfully earnest, and that was like, I don't know. I've never gotten to play a character that was like close enough to myself or close like that to myself. In terms of earnest level, like on the earnest meter, Sam is at a 20 out of 10, and I'm kind of at like probably a 28 out of 10.
Oh, that's so great.
But I don't know. I think it's so great to be earnest. It's so great to be just like excited about things. Yep. I don't know.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. It's very
long-winded.
That's wonderful. No, I love it.
So basically, Hattie is the one that got you.
No!
My dog.
Yes.
So I was already knowing that I was going to do a project with, or actually 2 projects possibly with Good Deed. And they were both going to be holiday films. So because they had already purchased one of my other films that is a holiday film as well. So they kind of wanted to do the same thing. And I wrote one script that is a Christmas film. And I think it needed a bit of a bigger budget. So I held on to that script, and they gave me the timeline of when we could start shooting. So I wrote this one. And I've always wanted to play around with the friends to lovers kind of queer feeling that a lot of people around me have been through. So I started writing this, and it was a pretty simple process. I think it was maybe a week of writing, maybe 2 weeks at most.
That's fast.
The script. So, but that's not super uncommon for me because I like to like get my characters out of my head so they can live not with me. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, and I didn't know which character I would play really. I was just kind of like open to whatever. So, you've never heard that, have you, Mak?
No.
That was jaw-dropping for Mak, just so you listeners
that's shocking news, shocking development, shocking. That's wild.
I think when I write stuff, I'm not like, I am this person. I'm never really like that. And I'm never just, you never just write yourself. You write a lot of things, and you put them all together and all of the characters,
You're always a little bit of all of the people that you write.
Exactly. So I was open, and then I don't remember how it came about, but I think someone suggested Bailey, and I was like, yeah, I could do that. I should probably start my rehearsals for Bailey, just starting my acting process and stuff like that. So I decided on her, and then we decided to cast all over, not just in Ohio, for Sam.
Okay.
And all the other characters came out of Ohio or surrounding areas.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Excellent. Wow.
Yeah.
So it sounds like even that was a short process. Like it just kind of went pretty quickly.
Yeah. I would say casting was probably the most, not difficult, but it was just a little bit more challenging because of there aren't a ton of actors in that area.
No, I can't imagine.
and diversity, I will say,
Yeah.
it was extremely diverse of like what you will find in Los Angeles or New York.
Yeah.
So we lucked out. We got amazing actors in every role here.
Sweet.
But it was different casting there. Definitely.
Yeah. Ashland, Mak and I were talking, and Ashland sounded familiar to me, and I was like, oh God, I just spent Thanksgiving in Cleveland, and so we see signs on the highway for Ashland, and I knew it was so familiar. I'm really familiar with that area, and I can't imagine a great deal of diversity there.
Yeah. Where do you live?
I live in Pennsylvania, right just north of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
I'm an East Coast girl.
Got it.
So this is I guess kind of a very serious question. What do you think is the importance of like LGBTQ plus individuals seeing themselves depicted in movies and books? Is that something that you think is important, first of all? And if you do think it's important, what is the importance of that? How does that impact people?
It's interesting. I think we as children, we grow up seeing what's around us, right?
Yeah.
So if we're not seeing something that we identify with, we won't know ourselves. And so when we start to see media that affects us and that looks different than, just straight couples, or you start to see different things and that different people exist, or things like that, you see yourself in it more so you know yourself more. But I feel like you grow up in the environment that you have. So if it's really sheltered, you're not going to be your fullest potential. You're just not going to be your authentic self because you don't know who that is. So you have to go through a lot of soul searching, I feel, to find out that you're queer. And I think it's such a beautiful process because you get to know yourself so much. And it can be really scary and sad for some people, though, because obviously it's not accepted in a lot of families or places. And if you're not seeing it on TV, on your phone, you're not going to not feel good about yourself, but you're just not going to see yourself as that authentic person anywhere. You just have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, it's like if you grow up and you're only seeing, one thing in life, you don't even know that other things exist, or may not even know that other things exist. But you may feel different and may feel like this thing just doesn't fit right for me. But once you see these other things, you're like, this is it.
Exactly. And I think it's so nice when so many people, I mean, that's why I love cinema, is because I see a perspective of a person and how they grew up, no matter what it is, if it's a film, if it's a painting, if it's a part of how they have come to know themselves. And you can't knock something that is a part of someone. You may not like it, but it's still who they are.
Yeah.
So I would love to see more of everything. We don't just need rom-coms. We need all of it, and horror and thriller and all of that. Maybe let's not kill anyone that's queer right now, but right now.
No, but like queer villains are a thing I think is so fun and needed and fun to play within, but it's totally that. I grew up in a 500-person town, and I was the only queer person I knew. And then I went to New York for college, and I was like, oh, okay, good. No. Nothing's wrong up here. Yeah. I'm just different than what's been modeled for me. And I think part of that process, I think everybody should go through the process of self-identity discovery that you have to go through to really be able to say, here's who I am and here's how I identify, because I've done the work on myself to figure this out, and be unafraid of saying that, and be unafraid of championing what it means to have a voice in the industry as someone who's queer. And I think it's something I think about as a writer. I don't really write for straight people, and it's not because I don't want to. It's because I already, there's just such a like huge breadth of that already.
Yeah.
And I'd really like to see stories for queer people, by queer people, played by queer people. And it's so lovely to get to live in a world, in a cinematic universe, on a TV show, in a play, in theater. It's so lovely to get to live in a world where your experience is part of a character's life as well, because you're continuing your own self-discovery. As an actor, I think that that's one of the biggest gifts, is being able to put yourself in the brain space of a character and let that character be filtered through your lived experiences, and vice versa, let the character have an effect on you. And I think it requires continued bravery from everybody who is queer to keep making work and to keep pushing for representation, to allow for representation, because it isn't so much a push, it's just a tenor of resilience to continue the process of making art and making it for the people that are in the LGBTQIA plus community, as well as the people who maybe are questioning, or people who are allies who don't know that they, have someone in their life. I think it can really be a pretty powerful thing to have queer people represented in media that then family members can watch to understand. It's one of the most powerful pieces of feedback I've ever gotten about a play that I worked on a couple years ago. I had a mom write to me and say, I've never understood my child being non-binary until I read this play of yours. Thank you for writing it. And I was shocked, because I want that effect to happen, but when it actually does happen, it's like, oh yeah, that's exactly why I wrote this. That's exactly why I wanted to make art like this, because some parent in the Midwest is going to randomly find this play on New Play Exchange, read it, and then talk to their kid in a really different way about their gender or about their sexuality. And I think that's what art is so powerful, especially right now and what we're about to go into next year. It's so powerful and important.
Yeah.
I will say too, for self-identifying, it doesn't ever stop. And I think that's the most beautiful thing. Even if you do figure out your sexuality or your preferences or whatever that is, it's not something that's just like, okay, I'm done. You just kind of keep discovering about yourself. You have to keep open. So I think art is such an open-ended thing. And people ask me often about, because you can see the trajectory of like either fiscally, like money in my projects, you could see that I'm getting more as the years go on from producers and things like that. And they're like, do you feel weird or bad or sad watching the old stuff because you didn't have enough money? And I'm like, no, because judging the process of like who I am as a creator, or what I was going through at the time, or what other people were going through around me, you just have to keep such an open mind for that, because that existed at that time. And I can't go back and be like, oh God, that was just it got me to where I am now.
Yes.
And I don't want to plateau here. It's like, you'll keep
growing,
figuring stuff out. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I think, it's so important. Like if you look back at some of the, films where, from, I don't know, even the 60s and 70s, the LGBT population was depicted as being like having severe mental health issues and being sociopaths. And, and that's what, if people saw, like if you see yourself, like you are going to think badly of yourself if that's all you see, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I couldn't have what I have now without those starting a conversation, without, and I know it was it's such a sad conversation, because you watch like the Children's Hour.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
I was in that play in college.
Were you?
Yeah, it was just.
The film is so good, though. It's just so good, but it's so tortured.
Yeah, it is.
And Shirley MacLaine's character, you're just like, now looking back, because, I didn't experience that fully, but it's still, we needed that to progress, and good on Audrey Hepburn and Shirley MacLaine for being open to doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, Hollywood is the gayest place you can find, but
it just absolutely is. And so is theater. Like every piece of media is, I just feel like making art is inherently, I think queer people naturally gravitate towards the arts because being queer is such an open-minded thing. Yeah, and it's rooted in self-expression, which is literally the learned pattern of being queer. You have to be okay expressing yourself, and you have a higher degree of emotional intelligence at the end of the day because you've gone through these things. So I feel any art form is just riddled with queer people.
And I think most people are somewhere, on this continuum. Like there's not some and there are some people who identify as like just totally the most male a maleness you can have, right? And some folks who identify as being the most female. But I think that if you get honest with yourself, most people are in between somewhere. And so I think that art gives you that, allows you to express that and really be more genuine with who you really are and what you feel.
Oh, that's so true. It's reminding me of my brother a lot because from the outside, he's very tall and just this kind of husky looking man. And everyone always thought, he was one way and he was just the most sensitive. I mean, he did have 3 women surrounding him. And my mom, a lot.
So you guys did a good job.
But just so sensitive. And yeah, exactly. And the films that he'd watch, he had my Max login. I think that's what it's called now. And I'd go in. Some days he'd watch Indiana Jones, and other days it was The Holiday. And I was just like, this guy, look at him, just feeding him. All these things that he was feeling in the moment and not looking at it as such a black and white thing. Everything is gray,
Yeah.
It all is. We're all somewhere in the middle of the muck of life, and it's up to us to parse that out. But I feel like everyone is they're somewhere in the middle of it all. It's about unlocking those little doors within ourselves to understand that that's what it is, because I think we spend a lot of time, or some people spend a lot of time closing those doors because they're afraid of what that means. And because society is so unfortunately rooted in judgment of self, judgment of other people, judgment of communities at large, which is an unfortunately human reaction to difference and a human reaction to something we don't understand is fear and judgment and blah, 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 all the bad stuff. But I think if we're all as honest as we possibly can be with ourselves, we all have little doors that we can continue to unlock in ourselves and not shut them, because that's exactly where things like division and polarization creep in, is when we have a bunch of closed doors in our hearts, in our minds, in our bodies. Anyways, I'll just keep rambling. This is my favorite thing to talk about.
Find the good book. That's the best.
Find a good little. Everyone needs a skeleton key to go in their body and just take it all out, just unlock everything.
There you go. So I'm envisioning like an advent calendar, just because of the time of year where you just open all those little
advent
doors.
Calendar. Open yourself up to life.
All of the chocolates right now.
There you go. See, you guys should work on a queer advent calendar. I've not seen that.
Allie, that's a good business idea.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so good. I always had advent calendars growing up.
The Holiday Club advent calendar.
There you go.
I was the type of kid that would open every single one up. I have a very sweet tooth. So I'd open them up and put the aluminum foil stuff back.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah, but my mom would know still. I was
so mischievous.
I was, but I got away with it because I didn't lie about it. I was very honest about it. Yeah. I remember We were coming
You're
back
like,
from
hey,
Costco.
I opened up all the Advent things just to let you know I ate all the chocolates already. I put the tinfoil back, Mom. Promise I love you. Love the Advent calendar this year.
I remember we were coming back from Costco. I was with my mom and dad, and I'm the youngest as well of four. So we were coming back. I had an angel food cake in my lap. They let me hold it. Everything else was in the trunk. And my mom was like, do not touch that until we get home.
Yeah, right.
And okay, so they turn around. I got through 75% of
Oh
it.
my gosh.
Around at a light right before the house.
Ah.
And my mom was like, oh, and my dad turns around and he's like, oh my God. And they just had to laugh. So,
yeah.
What is that thing about like
You're
asking?
so funny.
Hey, you
Ask
know,
for forgiveness, not permission.
but
That's totally you, Allie. That's
Only
totally
when it
you.
comes to like not anything that would hurt someone, you
yes,
know?
but you know, you
Just
know
sweet.
your kid, you know your child, and if you know that they eat all the candy out of the Advent calendar, you're not going to give them a pound cake, right? To carry
For
home.
real.
Oh my God, do they know how fluffy and moist an angel food cake
Ah.
is? My goodness.
Yeah.
There you go.
Delicious.
Did you ever eat devil's food devil's what are they called? Devil's food cake? Those little like chocolate covered things. They're like a little circle and they have a chocolate cake inside, but there's like a crunchy chocolate situation on the outside.
Is
Did
it
you
like
ever like get
no.
obsessed with those?
Like a cake
They-
pop almost?
No,
They
it's called
sound
devil's
like the-
food cake. They're like little round things,
Yeah,
round
no.
chocolate things, and
No.
they come in a pack of 2.
No.
It's like a ho-ho.
Oh.
Yeah, but there's no cream. It's just chocolate cake and
Got it.
chocolate icing on the outside.
Gotcha.
I did what you did with the angel food cake with
Ah.
an entire box of those in the car, and I threw up because I don't have a natural sweet tooth, but I got through all of, I have like I don't know, it's a little self-destructive. I'm like, I want to eat all of this right now because it's so good. And I couldn't stop. And I ate it really fast because my brother was arguing for some. And I was like, you can't have these. No, it's mine now. It's my turn. Because he would always eat them. If they made it home, I knew I wasn't going to get a single one. So for whatever, I remember doing that one time. And then I learned my lesson because I got a little sick because I ate them way too fast.
I
But
loved all that stuff. Yeah. I mean,
you have such a sweet tooth. I learned that
Yeah.
on set. I mean, you wrote a film where there's so many baked goods.
Ah.
That's true.
You didn't
It's
tell
true,
us
and they were all
that.
so good.
You didn't tell us that
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
So now by next
You'll see it live.
by next year, we expect to have a holiday club advent calendar on the market.
Coming soon
Yeah.
to shelves near you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Everywhere you can buy stuff.
No pressure
That's where it
though.
will be.
Yeah.
It's going to
They
happen.
would have to be like pastry flavored chocolates, though. They wouldn't
Yes.
have to be like tiramisu chocolate.
Little truffles. Can you imagine little truffles? That would be perfect.
Yeah.
And they're all wrapped in Bailey's Bakery.
Yeah.
There you
There
go.
would even need to
That's
be
what
like a lemon bar one.
Ooh.
Sam and Bailey, that's the sequel, is that they just go into business together and like have like a really, I'm the taste tester. It's
Well,
their birthday.
One's a baker
Where's-
of sweet goods and the other's a dentist. So you kind of feed
Oh my God, that would be
the
funny.
business.
Wait, what is that Christmas
right?
film? Is that Rudolph? Where he's like, I want to be a
Oh
dentist.
yeah. Herbie the elf.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yes.
Oh man, I
my
love
God.
that film so
Yeah,
much.
that's great.
so
That's
Oh,
awesome.
cute. You guys have seen it, right?
Yeah, it was actually on TV the other night.
Oh,
It's like
cute.
it's what is it? It might be the 75th anniversary.
Oh my goodness.
Whoa.
Yeah. Claymation. So cool.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that is all the time we have for today.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I am thrilled to have you on the show. And
Likewise.
again, listeners, please check out this film called The Holiday Club, wherever you rent or buy your films. And thank you to Mak Shealy and Alexandra Swarens for being with us today. It was a pleasure. And I'm Anita Kelly, and thank you all for joining Lez Talk About Books, baby. And until next time, may your journey be lighthearted, peace be plenty, and be safe, folks.